The biggest issue facing humanity is the overconsumption of natural resources. There is a moment where the current system will hit a wall because we only have one planet and we're actively destroying it. So how can we invent a way of creating value, of creating a margin without destroying the planet? That's the real challenge.
Isn't it weird that for as long as we have lived, we have always assumed that as we get richer, as people get richer, we're going to use more, we're going to waste more, whether it's food, whether it's energy, whether it's materials. But at the moment, I think we are looking at a world where we have a distinct possibility of making sure that this is no longer the same case as we had before. One of the most important challenges that we face, which is that of delinking resource use from growth, is now a distinct possibility rather than just a pipe dream. With new business models and new technologies, we can actually do more with less and we can do them better.
We have to understand what the land can give us and then live within that envelope and not just expect to have infinite ability to grow more. Whatever the service that land provides, whether it's water or food or fuel or fibre, at the moment we just assume that we can always get whatever we want. What we really need to do is think, what can the land provide in a sustainable way without being degraded, manage the land for all of these services, and if we want more, find a way of solving that issue.
If you were to replace about 50% of animal product consumption with imitation meat, it would reduce the land take of agriculture by about 35%. Very similar numbers for insect-based products. Lab-grown meat, growing it in vitro in laboratory conditions, vertical farming using hydroponics, aeroponics to grow food. There's some numbers I read the other day that suggested that you could, using algae, if we get it right in the timescales available, with an area about 3 times the size of Texas, you could replace all liquid fuel production globally and several times global animal feed production. So these are big numbers. Now, none of these things are ready yet, but the opportunities are there.
I think shifting our mindsets away from kind of having a digital first view of the world to really championing those social values, those things that have always made us succeed as a human race, back into the technological revolution. Because at the moment there's a very clear adaptability gap. We're struggling to keep up with this pace of change, and I think we need to remember the things that have always made us uniquely human and ensure that we're not coded out of all of the decisions that are happening, and that can only really happen by collaboration being unleashed like never before.
It will not be only about technology, it's about the sort of a combination of institution, political change, society change, and that maybe is a new thing. But I think now it could be institution, of course, innovation and society. And that, I think, it's, of course, fascinating to try to see how we can be participating to that change.
Natural technology is one of the most important tools we have right now for a sustainable economy, because biological organisms represent everything we need in a sustainable economy. They're self-repairing, they're self-replicating, and at the end of their useful life, they go back into the Earth's ecosystem and they become food for other organisms. This is the technology that's powered us for the last 3.8 billion years. It's the technology that will allow us to continue to live in harmony on planet Earth.
I think we have clearly reached the limit of elite, technocratic, supply-side, policy-led incremental change. I think we've maxed that out. We've literally used every advocacy and analytically based lobbying tool in the book, and we need to completely rethink the environmental movement. We need to make it much more relevant, and I think the kind of work that the Hoffmann Centre needs to do is by bringing all of these disruptors together, we might actually be able to create a different vision of the future for when my kids hit university.
It's not a crisis of the planet, it's not a crisis of the environment, it's a crisis of humanity. The planet will be there after we're gone, but we won't be there anymore to see it.